Hi, everybody, and welcome back to the Can't Vouch for It podcast. Hello.
Hello.
We hope you all are having a great week.
Yes.
A few housekeeping things. First of all, if you aren't following us on Instagram, Can't Vouch Podcast, hit us up.
Do it immediately, please.
Immediately.
Do it right now.
We make a lot of polls about what topics you guys want to see and other fun things like we want to do Instagram takeovers. So if you want more fun stuff like that, check that out. Also, rate the podcast on Apple Podcasts. Give us 5 stars if you like it. Don't give us 1 star.
Don't do that. All. That's mean. 5 stars is the only option. 5 stars or just don't rate it. So today we are joined by a very special guest. There's not just the two of us today. We are joined by our best friend, Miss Jennifer Ferry. Everybody give a warm welcome.
Hello.
So Jen is our other best friend who we also met in choir, but she is a lot more interesting than at least me. She has a lot going on.
I don't have a new puppy.
I am slightly more interesting now. So why don't we tell everybody how we met? We met in choir, as I just said, and we are all 3 sopranos who sat next to each other on the first day. But Jen and I have a little bit of a special story for how we first became really close friends. It involves something called the circulator.
Oh my goodness.
Which
we're just gonna get straight in.
We're going straight in, which is the bus that can take you around different parts of WashU's campus. And Jen and I decided we need to turn in our lab reports that are due at 1 o'clock. They're due at 1 p.m., but we decided we wanted to turn them in at 1 a.m. So with lab reports in hand, we got onto the circulator. And when we got on, the driver drove right past the stop that we needed to get off on. And we were completely panicked, thought we were being kidnapped.
I thought we were going I-60. I turned to you and I said, "Where are we going?" And you go, "I don't know. I guess we'll just figure it out." I don't know why we didn't ask the driver, but we didn't.
Nope. So we were just having a panic attack next to each other. Like, where are we going? We needed to get off. What's going on? And so we finally get off on basically by the gym, which is where some of the fraternities on campus are, which are of course having a party because it's Saturday at 1 o'clock in the morning. And we're in pajamas holding lab reports, walking through frat parties. Like, we're just gonna turn in our lab report, guys. We get to the building that we need to turn in our lab reports, and it's locked because it's 1 a.m. So we, again, I think I'm basically in tears at this point for no reason. We did not need to do this. And in a last-ditch effort, Jen decides to just pull on the door really hard, and it opened. So we turned in our lab report, and Jen was doing cartwheels in Lab Sci, and that was when I knew friends for life.
Yep, that's it. And then I'm pretty sure it rained as we were walking home.
It did. It started pouring as we were walking home, and it was. And then in the middle of that story, Jen tried to convince me that Lab Sci was directly at the top of the parking garage and made me walk up 6 flights of stairs.
I truly believe that it was.
Even now, I do believe that it is.
And we got to the top, and you were less than pleased.
Was irate, I believe.
We were on the wrong side of campus, and we had to walk all the way down to go get there. Yeah, that was my bad. Sorry.
It was a really great time, and it was a really great moment, and that's how I knew that I needed a little Jennifer Ferry in my life.
Just a little Jen as a treat.
Yeah.
A little sprinkle.
We're never gonna do that again. Never
ever
start past like 10 p.m. No. It's gonna be a no.
Just a little advice.
I mean, if we ever go back to campus anyways.
Oh, that's true. I'm not,
Apartment gals.
I'm not convinced we're going back. I have friends who go to college. One of them called me the other day and said, we've been on campus for a week and there are 15 new COVID cases on campus with us. They just sent the COVID cases home. She says, I don't know if we're going to stay or not, but
Oh my God, poor
I know
freshmen.
the city's working out. Yeah, I know.
No, not poor freshmen. Fuck the freshmen. Dorm parties, I hate you all.
Oh,
Dorm parties, you're expelled. Okay,
Well, at least we are-
I will not be afraid to snitch on you. I will snitch on you.
at least we are NYU, who has no food. At least we can
Yeah.
live in our apartments off campus and have food.
That's true. That is true. Okay, so let's talk a little bit about being music majors. All three of us are music majors.
You got the trifecta.
So Jen, do you want to talk a little bit about your experience being a music major?
Sure. I didn't start, as you know, as a music major. I started as a bio major. I stayed a bio major for 3 entire semesters, and I worked in an internship in the exact field I thought I wanted to go into. Discovered not for me, didn't like it, and then I took org, which kind of nail in the coffin for me. And so I was kind of like, what do I do now? Because I don't want to be a bio major and I'm 3 semesters in college. And I already had taken a bunch of music classes. I really enjoyed them. We took a lot of them together. But I kind of decided to go the music route and I chose another major. I'm double majoring in music and probably marketing. Definitely something in the business school is the second, but most likely marketing at this point. And yeah, my experience has been kind of a wild ride. I definitely recommend switching before the 3rd semester, if at all possible. But each their own.
But I also think it's great that like when you're in a weed out class and it's okay to like figure out that it's not for you. Like I think a lot of people take orgo and hate it and you know, work in a lab and hate it and they just push through because that's what they feel like their parents would want them to do, or they feel embarrassed if their like lifelong dream wasn't what they thought it would be. So I think it's really great that like you had the self-awareness to not just keep pushing, and now you're doing something that you're actually passionate about and, you know, doing exceedingly well at. And I think that that is really incredible. Do you have any advice to people that are maybe taking weed out classes over the summer and they're not enjoying it?
I think my biggest piece of advice, honestly, would be do an internship as soon as possible in whatever field you want to be into. Because it's not that I did super poorly in classes or that I didn't enjoy the classes. I liked Gen Chem. I liked, you know, bio for the most part. And then I did an internship in the field I wanted, and I didn't like it. I thought it was really long hours for me. It was a lot of sitting in one place doing one thing. And we'll get into it later, but I have this other job that's all movement and energy. And I remember talking with my parents and just saying, I need something with more energy for my day-to-day life. I can't just sit at a computer all day, every day, crunching numbers and breaking down data. And so I was already really seriously considering switching out of the bio major when I took orgo. And what was the nail in the coffin is if you're not enjoying, you know, not a lot of people enjoy studying orgo, but if you dread going to class, you dread studying for it, it's a good sign. And if you really truly dread it, I recommend kind of diversifying and finding something that you don't dread quite as much.
Yeah, I definitely.
Go ahead.
I definitely agree. Because I had like a similar experience with like an internship. I thought like I knew exactly what I wanted to do, like theater management, administration stuff, and I went into the internship and it was just a lot of like sitting and doing ticket orders and like picking up the phone, and that like obviously it's different once you get like higher up, but like I was like that kind of changed my my track because I was like I want to do something more creative rather than just like I like crunching numbers and that kind of stuff is not for me. And it's okay for it to like not be for you just because everyone else is doing it. I know at WashU at least like everyone is like pre-med and bio majors, or like PNP majors. For those of you who don't know, it's philosophy, neuroscience, psychology. And I came into WashU, I was like, wow, everybody's like a PNP major, and I like philosophy, and I feel like I may like psychology. Like I should be a PNP major, even though I hate like neuroscience and everything like that. And then I came in and I was like, you know, I always hear people be like, oh, you know, humanities majors suck. You're not going to get a job. Like, why be a music major? It doesn't like get you anywhere. But I ended up becoming a music major because that was something that I was passionate about and something that I liked. And I did end up liking psych, and I took it on as a minor. Like, it's okay to like different things and not do something just because, you know, people are like, oh, this is what's going to get you a job, if even if you're passionate about something else.
And I also had a similar experience. I came into college thinking that I got into arts and sciences, but when I got to college, I wanted to switch into engineering. And because in high school I was really into computer science, that was like my whole thing. I wrote my college admissions essay about my senior programming project. It was like part of who I was like I was a girl in coding. That was like a huge part of my identity. And I got to college and I skipped whatever 131, whatever the intro class is, and I was in 247, and it was the worst experience of my entire life. I hated the entire class. I not only hated the way that the class was structured, I did not enjoy the lab section, the lecture section, the activity section. Like, absolutely none of it was interesting to me. It was so competitive. And everyone, like, I'm pre-med and everyone was pre-engineering, and it was like, why am I killing myself to do something that's not even what I want to eventually do? And so I dropped the class and focused more on what I was actually interested in, which is I took an English class, I took music classes, I got back into choir, and I was so much happier. And also I had a similar experience in high school, two different ones actually. I was a teen volunteer at Cedars-Sinai, which is a huge hospital in Los Angeles. And I thought I was going to love working in a hospital, and I absolutely hated it. The bureaucracy was so much, and I just saw patients getting neglected because of just the amount of layers. You know, they would call me. I'm a teen volunteer in the nurses section. I have to figure out who to page. I page them. They don't go into the room. The patient's calling me, crying in pain. It was like the worst experience of my life, but it was really important because I, at that point, thought I wanted to be a surgeon and live my whole life in the OR. And then from there, I thought I wanted to be a dermatologist, and I worked in a dermatology office, and I realized they do the same thing every day, and it's not a lot of doctoring. Like, it's not a lot of high pressure situations, life or death situations, and that's what I was really interested in, and that's why I wanted to become a doctor. And so I think that, you know, when you participate in something that's not what you expect, it's still a really valuable learning experience, because especially when you go into fields where you might do the same thing every day for 40 years, I think it's really important to expose yourself to things that you may or may not like, so that you know, and you don't, you know, get to that job that you've worked for since you were 18 years old and not like it.
I totally agree. That was my exact experience. Did the internship, didn't like it, but the not liking it was just as important as, you know, getting the credit for the internship itself. You know.
Gotta get that credit.
Yeah, I know. Build that resume.
Why don't you guys talk a little bit about being in the business school, being in like a pre-professional school, because being pre-med isn't really like that.
I took my first couple of business classes last semester, and it was great for me. It was everything that I needed it to be and wanted it to be. You know, I needed a job that was talking to people and high energy, and, you know, as a performer, I think a lot of business school draws on that performance experience. It's a lot of talking to people and being creative and coming up and, you know, solving problems. And so it kind of drew on all that parts of my performance background from music.
And then, it was when I was a bio major, I liked the classes. I did well. I wasn't setting the curve. So it was nice to go to business and just kind of get back into that. I'm good at school. I'm intuitive in this. I can get this and figure this out. And so I just really enjoyed the classes. And then, over the summer, I think we'll get into this later. Over the summer, I purchased a business and I'm now running it. And I can say that from the classes that I learned in the B school, I'm running it a lot more effectively than I would have without it, and I'm enjoying it. And yeah, I'm excited to go back to school if we ever go back to school.
Yeah, I definitely agree. I mean, I've only taken one class, and it was business, like intro to business for non-business majors. WashU students, you know what I'm talking about. Other people, maybe not. And I'm a business of the arts minor, which is just like business administration for like creative enterprises, like, theater, music, arts, etc. And I was going to go abroad this summer for that, but it got canceled.
I was going to go abroad this fall, not happening.
Yeah. So, yeah, she was running her business. But like, I feel like there's like a lot of stereotypes about business majors, and a lot of them are true, but like a lot of them actually aren't true. Like, I feel like there is, there's this kind of image of what a business student looks like, and like there have been a lot of people, like a lot of like people that I met don't fit that stereotype, I guess. And like in my class we did like a simulation, like where we each was like, we were like a business, and we had to like make, certain like marketing decisions, strategic decisions, etc. And like I was on an all-girl team, and that was like really fun because we actually did really well. And it's nice to see like, there's this kind of idea that like women can't succeed in business, and it was like nice to have this like empowering group of women come together and make our business actually do pretty well. We didn't win, but we did do pretty well. But yeah, I'm excited to see like and experience more business school classes, because I've only taken that one so far. I am taking intro to marketing this upcoming semester, which is fun. Yay. And so I'm really excited for that, because I was really interested in like the marketing section that we did in the intro to business class, but I had to take economics to get there, which kind of sucks because economics is kind of trash, but hee hee.
Jen, this question is for you. So I wanted to talk a little bit. We talked about weed out classes that you're not particularly interested in, but I also think even when you're on the right path, so to speak, the path that you're interested in, you take classes where you're not super into it and studying sucks. And I know that you are a study champion. And so I was wondering if you could give me, and other people that are listening to this, some tips for how to hunker down and study when you don't want to, or you feel like maybe you're 2 weeks behind in this class and you're like panicking. How do you just sit down, get going? What does that look like for you?
I think for me, what's really important is coming up with a plan that's personalized to you. I know a lot of people, and they get back from class and they study that night. And I tried that for, a couple months, and it just doesn't work for me. I had to learn that for me personally, I cannot study when it's dark outside. And when I've been at classes all day, I just want to go home and eat dinner. So what I will do during school year, I'll come home, I'll eat dinner, I'll go to sleep at 8 p.m. and wake up at 2, 3 in the morning and just study before, because that's how I know that I'm most effective. I also think it's important, if you're not loving studying, is to find ways to make it bearable. If it's miserable and horrible, your brain will not focus on it. We've all been there. We've all been trying to study something that's so boring and we couldn't give a crap. And you have to study for 4 hours to get an hour's worth of solid studying done, because you just won't focus. So what I do is I will, put on a podcast in the background and listen to it while I do study. That makes it more bearable for me. Or if I have a bowl of popcorn, it's on my desk. Or I say, if I study for the next 45 minutes at 2:15, I'm going to take a 15-minute break and go and sit on the couch and watch 15 minutes of TV. Things like that to make it bearable and just to make you more effective. Because if you have to study for 4 hours to get 1 hour's worth of studying done, you're falling behind, because we all know we have a lot to do. We take 10,000 classes and have 10,000 hours of homework every week.
And so what about people that, I know for me, like I really struggle with reading high volumes of, dense, it's not fun stuff to read. Do you read textbooks? How do you get through that? Or do you usually just focus on notes, videos? What's kind of your strategy with that?
For me, it depends on the class. I usually start with my notes and I'll say, yeah, I get this section about, isoforms. Perfect. Next. And then maybe I'll get to another section about, I don't know, something else, something crazy. And I won't understand it. Then I go see, okay, what are the lecture notes on that? I go section by section. You don't want to read 30 pages of the textbook. Who wants to do that? No one. I think the most effective way to study is to go through every single topic, pinpoint the ones that you're not confident on. Just get yourself to the point of confidence. So I'll start my study session every time by listing all the topics that we're probably studying for an exam. So I'll list out all the topics on the exam. I'll highlight the ones I don't know about, study them, and maybe at the end of the night, 2 hours later, I can cross 2 of those off my list. Okay, great. In the morning, I'm going to tackle this new topic. I think you can't study for an entire exam in one sitting. You have to go topic by topic and break it up in between and let yourself think and simmer on it for a while. So it'll take me 3 or 4 days to study for a test. I'm not one of those people who could just, block it out in 3 hours and study the whole thing.
Exactly.
Yeah, I'm definitely like the same way. I think the textbook's like good supplemental, or I guess complementary material for me. I'm just like someone who can't sit down and like read like the whole textbook, and it's like, for me, it's especially helpful when, like, as Jen said, there's something that I don't know about, and it's like, oh, it's helpful to like go back and look at the textbook here. But like, just like if, in psychology, I'm reading about, depressive disorders or whatever, and I have like very like comprehensive notes and I like understand the topic, to go back and read the textbook to me is like not
waste of time.
Not really helpful. But also I think, as Jen said, it like depends on the class, because there are certain classes where the professors are like, this material will only be from like the notes. Like the summer class I took this summer, they were like, it's mostly going to be based on the notes, but for X chapter I would look in the textbook. Or like, but there are other ones where they're just like, it'll be mostly based on the textbook, and there's maybe less from the class lectures. So it's important to look at that too. Yeah.
And I think also, like, for me, touch base with people that are in your class, or people that have taken the class before, if it's not a summer class and you know people, and just try and, or even like ask the TAs, am I wasting my time reading the textbook, or are Khan Academy videos more helpful, or like what's the best way to get some of this information? Because obviously, like in big classes like Gen Chem and 2960, like intro bio, there's so much information, and I would say like there's only 10% that even like overlaps with the next thing. A lot of it is like just rote things that you have to know. And for me, I get bogged down a lot in like, well, how does this relate, and why is it like that, and what does that mean? And so I get bogged down a lot with background information. So the textbook is like a big red X for me, because it's all background information instead of like, you know what? Who cares? I need to know the entire Krebs cycle and the 120 million helper whatever that go with that. And so I just need to figure this out. And so I think that knowing what trips you up and knowing what turns a 1 hour study session into a 4 hour study session is also really helpful.
Yeah. And also, like, I was thinking about discussion-based classes, because Bianca and I were in one last semester that was, the reading was a little bit little bit
my
out
God.
of whack. In that class, we took an ethnomusicology class at WashU. And there were just like some readings that were like 60 or 70 pages. And it's just like, you need to know. Some professors really think that their class is the only class that you're taking. And in certain cases, it's very helpful to do the reading to be able to, contribute to class discussion. But in other cases, I think it's easy to have something to say. Like, I definitely think Bianca had a lot to say, like,
And I did
that,
not do
like,
the reading.
yeah, but like bouncing on, like piggybacking or like, reflecting on what other people were saying. Like, sometimes you can make that work and get your discussion points, but sometimes like doing the reading is really important. And sometimes they love to give you pop quizzes too.
And also, I think in a situation like that, like, what I would do if I wanted to like actually do the reading, because for some in that class, there would be like one reading that everybody would keep going back to. So do that reading, but like read 2 pages of the 80 pages where like most of the argument is, and just take a few notes so that you can go back to that in class, because chances are you have more important things to do than like read 80 pages to say 2 sentences out loud. Like, it's just for classes like that where it's a requirement and you're not really going to take, like, if there's a second semester offered, you're not going to take that. It's just like a step on the road to what you want to take next. I would just, have a priority list of your classes. Like, obviously, if you're in a huge class like Gen Chem, don't take the first semester of Orgo at the same time. Or if you're double major, don't take, a huge class at the same time. Try and figure out, talk to your advisor, a way where you're taking one big class and maybe like a lab class at the same time, so you can have like a real focus. That has been really helpful to me, to not just be overwhelmed, because chances are you're going to have multiple exams in a week, and you don't want it to be your 2 biggest classes having exams in 1 week. Like, you would just die.
Also, rate my professor is your best friend. Your best friend, because we all know some classes are taught by multiple teachers, and sometimes it's really important which teacher you choose.
And sometimes their test average is like a huge difference between the classes.
Very much so. So just keep that in mind when you're registering for classes. You're going to want to watch out for that.
That, and also going back to, I guess, study tips, as Bianca said, like, reach out to people in the class. I know we all took classical theory 1 and 2 together. It was really
fun. I mooched off Rachel. No, just kidding.
But it's like helpful to know people, because there were a lot of times where it was like our final analytical project where where we text each other, we're like, we have no idea what this is. Like, is there like, and we tried to like work through it together. Like, it's helpful to have those moments if you're afraid to go to the professor, afraid to like go to the TA, because I know like I'm that way sometimes, where I'm afraid to ask for help. But having those people that you can talk to instead is really helpful, I think.
And also, like, in that class, the TA and the professor would give completely different answers to the same questions. And so it's like, it's hard and the textbook would have completely different ways of answering the questions. So it's like, it's important to have people that are sitting in the same class as you and hearing the same words as you, and were taught it in the same way as you, because in something that's so subjective and there's so many different ways to answer the same question, whether it's a math class or something like a music class, I think it can be really helpful to have people to reach out to be like, how are we supposed to go about answering this? What's the steps,
Yeah,
and
for sure.
So pivoting a little bit to Jen's other personality, STL Princess Jen, for those of you who are not familiar with the icon herself.
The queen.
The queen. So do you want to talk a little bit about how you got started as STL Princess Jen?
Sure. How I got started, I was a nerd pretty nerdy kid in high school, hard to believe. And I was reading a financial planning article for teenagers. And I was looking for a summer job. You know, I couldn't swim, so I can't swim. So I couldn't be a lifeguard, you know. So I was kind of looking for jobs that I could take over the summer. And one of the ones they recommended in this article, it was like best jobs for teenagers, is character performer. Because you have to do makeup and you have to sing and you have to have all these special attributes. And I thought, you know, I'm a singer. You know, I can do this. I'm good with kids. And it turned out that the absolute biggest company, Enchanted Events in St. Louis, was less than a mile from where I grew up and, you know, where I went to high school. And so I applied and my interview got canceled 3 times because, you know, ice storm sickness, not corona sickness, because this was back in 2017 or
Not corona.
Not corona, something else. It got canceled, and you know, back in those days before I worked, I would spend weekends in my pajamas. You know, I would just put my hair in a bun. I wouldn't brush it. And I got a call from the owner, and she said, "Can you be here in an hour? I need you to be an assistant for this party." Panic, show up, and she said, "Okay, great, thank you so much. I need someone to be a princess next weekend." And I worked every single weekend for the next 3.5 years. And I'm talking every weekend, with the exception of probably about 5 where I went on vacation. That was it.
Wow.
There, I went from performer to being the manager. And then over the summer, my former boss, she told me that she wanted to sell the company and asked me if I was interested. And I said yes. And so I purchased the company out from under her. And I am now the owner. Thank you. Very excited.
And so obviously it's a local small business that does a lot of promotion through social media. Do you want to talk a little bit about using social media as a tool for a local business instead of like, you know, a national business?
So one thing that's been really important for us is I ended up clearing out a lot of old photographs that we used from 10 years ago, or I'm just careful about what I post. It's much more difficult now because of COVID getting these pictures. But I'm trying to do a nice mix of, you know, a mix of people, first of all. I'm the owner and a performer. And as much as I take photos that I love, I can't just post photos of me all over the company Instagram all the time. So I'm breaking it up between all of our girls. And that's the nice thing about being a local company, especially in the age of COVID, is that, you know, we don't have 30 people working for us. A lot of the other companies in our area, they'll just hire anybody who applies, and they'll hire 30 or 40 girls at a time. And because we're so picky and we hire, I would say probably 20% of our overall applicants. We have 5 girls. And between those 5 girls, they're all amazing. They're wonderful. They're beautiful inside and out. And they get pictures of each other, and then they'll take videos of each other at parties. They'll do all this great stuff. So I'm trying to spread it out, not only between girls, but between having, you know, nice professional images and then kind of more informal images with kids, and mixing those in, because we also sing live at all our events. So mixing that in with videos and things like that. So basically just trying to keep a variety and keep it interesting.
Yeah. And also you've mentioned to me that like promoting on Instagram, like using the promotion feature, isn't very helpful for local businesses.
No, well, we've tried it before. You know, we'll promote on Instagram and we'll get a message from somebody in North Carolina who says, you know, I should come to my house, and you can't do that, you know, or we'll get calls from New Jersey, or people, and they don't realize that it's not, you know, we're not Nike. We can't just ship our princesses there, you know? We can't, and we can do video calls, but, you know, I would say 90% of our business is in-person visits, and we just don't make hardly any profit on video calls. That was something we added just recently because of COVID, because for 3 months we were essentially shut down. We couldn't go anywhere. We couldn't do anything. It was all online. So we kind of figured out that the only way to really promote, if we're going to pay for advertising, is through Facebook. Because Facebook does a much better job of recognizing that we're a service-based industry, and therefore we can only really provide service area and to Illinois. We kind of expanded into Illinois a little bit. So we're trying to promote with that, but I'm really not promoting right now through Facebook. We're getting pretty good engagement just on our posts regularly. So I'm gonna wait and see how things are slowing down a little bit because the school's starting. It's a natural slowdown that happens every year. So I might end up promoting again within the next, 3 weeks or so, but we'll just see.
Awesome. And do you want to talk a little bit about the work-school balance that you have and how you navigate running a business and going to a top school? I mean, it's a lot of time.
And we've seen her come into that 10 a.m. classical theory in full Ice Queen makeup,
Will be.
false lashes on.
Colored contacts.
Yeah, full bit. Contour. Well, I haven't been running the business while in school yet. The past couple semesters I was an employee, but like I said, I was also the manager, so I was managing and working every single weekend. And the difference for that for me was that, normally you say, okay, I have a test Monday. I can study all day Saturday, all day Sunday. Great. And for me, I just couldn't do that. And I felt bad for my roommates, but I'm up 8 a.m. getting ready for work. I'm at work by 9:30, and then I'm gone till like 7 or 8 o'clock at night, depending on the day, Saturday and Sunday. So for me, it just made me effective. I talked about it earlier, but you have to be an effective worker. So for me, that means I get up. If during the school year, I'll probably get up around 3 or 4 and get up, eat breakfast, do homework, study, go to school, go to work, and then sleep. Because that's the most effective balance for me, because I know that I have fun at my job. My job is much more fun than studying for Orgo. So I had to start my day when I'm most effective in the morning, studying for Orgo, go to classes, and then, if I'm waiting till the end of the day to study, you can always say, I'm too tired, I'll do that tomorrow. You can't do that with work. You gotta go to work. You gotta show up. You've been booked. Little Megan is expecting you for her birthday party. There's no choice. You're going to that. So it just kind of, work-life balance for me it's just about being effective, and it's about planning your schedule to a T. I know I'm going to get up at 6:15 in the morning. I'll have breakfast for 10 minutes. I'm going to study for 35. I'll put on my makeup and 45 minutes. It's about, even if you don't write it down, knowing in your brain, setting milestones and saying by noon, I have to be done with these 3 assignments. And then no excuses. It has to be done by then. You're your own boss.
And you can't push it back. You have to be done.
Exactly. So for me, it was just about being effective. The nice part is that I enjoy my job so much. I love going to work. I love seeing the kids. I love all my now employees, formerly my coworkers. That it's really like my relaxing time. I find it relaxing to go to a birthday party and have a 4-year-old girl just sing songs with and dance around with and play, having a little imaginary tea party. And then you take your paycheck and you go home, and that's the relaxing time for me for the day. And a lot of other people, if you don't have a relaxing job, you need to find a way to schedule that in there. And maybe it's a half hour after you eat, you can just lay in bed and listen to your phone or something. You need to have that relaxing time to keep you effective. That's something that I've learned.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense.
We're all apartment livers now.
Woohoo!
Incredible for us. Do you have any tips on finding apartments, how that process went for you?
Well, I was lucky. I got an apartment back in June before this whole craziness happened. With the finding an apartment in a day, you have 3 days notice before you have to, I luckily avoided all of that. My only problem was that my roommate left for spring break. We were going to tour apartments, and she never came back because, COVID. So I picked out my apartment by myself. I've lived in an apartment this year, and I also lived my entire sophomore year in an apartment.
Same.
And definite pluses: bigger bathroom, a lot more privacy. Minuses: you have to do your dishes. You have dishes when you live in an apartment. Terrible. Oh,
Horrible. Worst experience.
worse. I still haven't done my dishes. It's been a week.
Yeah, I'm in trouble.
Yeah, I definitely it's been like a big shock because for WashU's people know, but other people don't know, like uh a lot of the upperclassmen had to move to off-campus housing. And in my case, all my classes are online, but I still decided to go to live in St. Louis with two of my closest friends.
And on my street.
Yeah, on Bianca Street. We have to mention it every single episode.
I'm literally counting down the moments. Because every single day, twice a day, I walk Flower to her apartment building. So I'm going to get to...
You're getting her ready.
She's ready. And I tell her, Auntie Rachel's going to be right there. And she gets all excited. It's very cute.
Yeah. But, like, I didn't realize, like, how different it was even just living in a dorm to living in an apartment. Because, first of all, I was kind of unlucky in that sophomore year. A lot of the sophomores live in singles, but I still lived in a double. Love you, Sophia. You're incredible. But it's going to be interesting to have more privacy. But like the biggest thing for me is going to be having to cook. I cannot cook. None of my roommates can cook.
I can't cook
And
New cuisines, where to go?
you know, it was so easy to go before and just like go down to the dining hall and, you know, get your food made. And yeah, it would be like, oh yeah, I'm complaining because the chicken at BD keeps getting like stolen. My meal keeps getting stolen from me. But like just having to do that all yourself is definitely new for me. And I think it's going to take some getting used to, but it's like, I think the positives really outweigh the negatives on this, like in this case. So.
And I think also it's nice because you don't have, like, the biggest obstacle during normal times about living off campus is like schlepping to campus. Like that really sucks. Whether you're walking, Ubering, you have a car, whatever. It's like such a nightmare to have to time, like getting there, getting settled, and just like the expense of it. Any way you slice it, that's like an extremely expensive thing to do. And so I think that it's like gonna be really nice to be like close to everybody, but also you don't have to leave every single day. And plus, like Jen and I have talked about the dreaded 1.5-hour break, where like if you have an 1.5 hours instead of like an hour in between classes, everybody would just go to their dorm. But it's like you just have to like get a coffee and sit somewhere for like a long ass time, and you can't really study. You just have to like wait for your class to start. So I think, especially with like asynchronous classes and stuff like that, I think it's going to be so much easier to like get into a good work-life balance, get into a good schedule, because it's more like a working from home situation where you can be like, okay, I'm going to do this class at this time, then I'm going to make a nice lunch for myself, eat my lunch, take the dog on a walk, whatever. And you're able to like have a day that's more in your control, instead of, okay, all of my classes that I have to take are offered in a freaking block and they're all at the same time. Love you, music department. And so it's like, how am I going to do this? So now I think is a good time for all of us to like do some adulting on like your own personal schedule, you know?
Well, and the other thing is, like you said, moving into an apartment for the first time, it changes your outlook a lot. You know, Bianca and I, we've both lived in apartments for a while now off campus. And it just gives you this perspective where it's a lot more in keeping with what a normal day would be as an adult. It's not like, you know, you're living in a dorm, like you're already 2 doors down, like, oh my God, it's your space. You're in charge of it. There's no maid service to come in and clean your bathroom every week. There's no somebody to cook your meals. There's no RAs. There's no, you know, it's a lot more of, I have my own life at home and I have a life at school, instead of it being just this whole jumble where you live with one of your classmates and your other 2 classmates share your bathroom. And, you know, it gives you that perspective of job, which is in this case school, and life and home. So
right.
Shift.
And do you have any suggestions for like organizing your apartment so that you have some life stuff and some school stuff? Like, when you were in a 1-bedroom apartment, how did you deal with having not just like, for me, I would watch TV at my desk, I would study at my desk, I would eat at my desk, and it was horrible.
That's exactly what I did the first year. I had a big monitor. My TV in my apartment didn't work. So I had a big monitor on my desk with all my school stuff, plus all my makeup for work. Plus that's where I ate dinner because I didn't have a table. My big recommendation to you is you need to make space for study where it's just study. In this apartment that I'm in now, I have a desk over there, and this desk is for just makeup. It has makeup all over it. It has a mirror. It has all my palettes and brushes and craziness. This desk has a printer, a monitor, and paperwork. This is for studying, and then I'm eating out there in the dining room. And I'm fortunate because now I'm in a bigger apartment where I have space to do that. But if nothing else, try not to eat at your desk, and try not to watch TV / do makeup at your desk. Just study.
I think it's even better to eat in your bed than to eat at your desk. Like, spend every minute you're not studying in your bed. That's what I would do. Because it's like your bed, then you don't have problems where like you're studying in your bed, because that leads to insomnia. And I think when you're in your bed, you can like truly relax. So like every time you're relaxing, if you don't have a couch or like another chair to sit, be in your bed, try and close your eyes for a couple minutes to like let yourself come down from studying, so that you're not at like a 10 all day long.
Well, and the other problem is, say you're eating at your desk, it's a minute where you stop, you put away the studying, you eat dinner, and then not only are you either going right back to studying and you didn't have a chance to relax and let your brain chill out. The other problem is then maybe you're studying, your brain's on fire, it's done. You're way more likely to just sit at your desk and like have a bowl of popcorn and not be studying anymore. You're just sitting at the desk. That's when it takes it from a 1 hour study session to a 4 hour study session.
Oh yeah.
No, never doing that again.
Yeah, for sure. But yeah, my biggest thing, as Bianca already said, do not study in your bed. Please don't. That was like my issue during high school, is because my desk that I'm currently recording on, there's like a big monitor, but it's like not, I mostly like use my laptop and stuff like that, so I would just sit in my bed. And yeah, my desk also has like all my makeup and stuff on it too, so it's just like it becomes like a really crowded area. And like, don't study in your bed, because like there have been like a lot of studies about like how studying in your bed is really bad. But as long as you can like make some sort of space, like I found for me, like at least being at school, like I would do a lot of my studying in the library. If you can like find a way to like create that space, it doesn't even have to be in your own apartment, but if you can find like some area, it's kind of hard now with like COVID and stuff, but like to find some way to like
even go outside.
Yeah, even go outside. Or like I know a lot of people would like do work in the cafeteria, dining hall. As long as you can like find
a little loud.
Yeah, it's a little bit loud. But we always did our what was that thing? Our subsection Takadimi.
I still can't, the thing on TikTok, I can't
I
do
was
that.
trying to do that last night.
I can't do it.
I can't do it. Wait. No,
I
can't do it. Anyways, if you're not watching the video, you're probably really confused right now. But yeah, I think like creating that space is definitely really important, because like otherwise your space isn't like your wind down space. It's like, oh, I'm sitting in my bed, but I can't be relaxed because all I'm thinking about is like all the other stuff that I need to do, and like I think that's just not very healthy for your mind.
Well, and the other thing is it's a lot easier if you have a binder on your bed that you're reading for class the next day to be like, I'm really tired. Just put the binder down and go to sleep. My problem was first semester of sophomore year, first semester living off campus is, I'm doing homework in bed, and then I'd be like, I'm tired. And I would just lay it down and go to sleep. And that was so ineffective, because then I wasn't getting the things done that needed to happen. And then I would be in a panic the next morning trying to, do answers in between classes to make sure it was done when it
or in class.
Yeah.
Whatever the problem was. don't do it.
And I
And
think
yeah.
also if you're like me and you can study for 6 hours and you look at what you did and it was 30 minutes of work, if you are watching a Khan Academy video and then you click on a fun YouTube video and then you go get a snack and then you go eat lunch and you're doing it all at your desk, your brain is like, I'm studying, even though you're not taking in knowledge. And then you wake up and you're like, I didn't do anything. And then your brain is so panicked that you can't take in the information. So I think having an eating area, a sleeping area, and a studying area is like the best thing you can do. Even if it's in your dorm room, a 1-bedroom apartment, whatever. Have 3 different places, even if it's a friggin' folding chair in the corner of your room where you eat. Like, have 3 different places, because I think that's so helpful.
For sure. And also, one last thing about, like, I guess, finding those places. It's okay to, before I said it's good to have friends in your classes, it's okay to also take time for yourself. Because I know there are, like, a lot of times where I would go to the library. I have a great group of friends that loves to hang out in the library, but some of them are very loud. And some of them like to talk a lot. And it's okay to, like, take that time for yourself and be like, I have this really big thing that I need to study for, and I need to go to, like, the next level up, because every level as you get up, it's quieter. But it's like, I'm going to move to a different spot. Like, it doesn't mean that I don't like you, but I just need to take time and, like, actually study, because there are, like, a lot of times where I would go to Whispers. WashU students know. I would go to Whispers and I would, like, sit in a booth with my friends, and it's like, yeah, it's really fun.
Impossible to study.
And it's like, yeah, me and my friends are just talking, like, every 30 seconds, and then I'll like put one note down in the classical theory worksheet homework. So it's like, yeah, then I do, like, one problem and then I start talking again. And it's okay to, like, take that time for yourself and be like, I have something that's really important to me, and, like, I really care about this class that I'm taking and I want to do well. So I'm gonna go and do my studying elsewhere.
And I think also, like, study groups can be really difficult. Like, I took Orgo over the summer, which was the biggest mistake of my life. Don't do that. I repeat, do not take Orgo over the summer. It's horrible. But, like, if you learn at a different pace or even differently, like, some people learn really well with 3D models. Some people learn really well, or learn the same information different ways. And if you're in a study group and the whole group is like, yeah, I get it, your brain's going to be like, yeah, I get it too. And then when you're home and other people aren't working the problems out loud, which they're not going to be doing on the exam, it can be really difficult. So make sure, like, you're spending time with the information by yourself, even, like, right before you go to a study group. Like, let's say everybody's getting together at 1:00 to go over the weekly problem set. Try every problem on your own first. And then if there's a point where, like, I don't get it, I don't understand it, or you just want to check your answer, it doesn't matter if every other person is coming with their pages blank. Like, it's important, if that's a problem for you, to spend some time with it on your own and then get the validation, instead of like, well, I kind of just, like, copied everybody's answers, so I'm going to do well on the homework, but I might not do well on the exam, which is a lot more points than the homework. And so I think it's important to understand how much is, whether it's like a TA help session, a review session, a group study situation, like, how much did you understand, or how much did you understand because of the environment that you were in?
For
Well,
sure.
along the same lines is just know there's a difference between doing homework and that environment that works for you and studying. For me,
Yeah.
completely different. Doing homework for me, alone, TV on, like, maybe I'll call somebody and we'll go through it together. That'll work for me. Studying, I can't be around anybody. I don't want to look at anybody. I need to be by myself. And just know that, you have to have different approaches for studying for homework. It's not going to work the same way, most likely for you.
Yeah. I think that's a good note to end on. I think that, we're all going back to school. We're all nervous about how our new environments, whether it's a new apartment, studying online for the first time, studying at home with your parents around for the first time. I think that, everybody's going to have different challenges, and we can always do another episode about it if you guys have more specific questions. But obviously, we'd like to give a big thank you to Jen for joining us.
We love
Follow
you, Jen.
her
Thank you for
absolutely
coming.
everywhere. STL Princess Jen, Enchanted Events, hire her, follow her, do it all.
Yeah. Any final notes?
Thank you for having me. I love you. I can't wait to see your new apartment, Miss Rachel. And I can't wait for us all to be in St. Louis together.
Yes.
Cool.
Okay, well, we love all of you guys. Thank you so much for listening. Remember to rate our podcast, stream our podcast, download our podcast, watch us on YouTube, see our beautiful faces.
And you'll understand our TikTok related joke that you otherwise would have missed.
And have a great day, and we'll see you next week. Bye.